This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Ben Abbott. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful day?
I am very good, thank you. It's not so much a wonderful, beautiful day weather-wise here, but I'm excited to take the day really. And Tuesday's always good because Monday you're kind of getting into the week, and now Tuesday you're kind of raring to go.
Yeah. I know the feeling. Now, what part of the world is this weather not too good right now?
So I'm based out of Kent in the UK, so it's kind of southeast of England.
Okay. It's cold there right now, isn't it?
It's freezing, yeah. Well, it's cold for me. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't complain so much, but yeah, it's very chilly for me.
That's always intriguing to me, the weather and the temperature. It's a bit cold here in Trinidad, but I can guess it's not as cold as I think a cold is or even can be in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Well, do tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
I think it was just a case of right time, right place, really. And I say that loosely because I have a corporate training background, and I was there for a good 4 or 5 years working with some of the biggest technology companies in the world, including Microsoft and Samsung. And it got to the point where I kind of woke up in the morning and thought, I enjoy some aspects of my job, but I don't love it. From that point, I decided that it was time to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life moving forward from now. I'm still very young, so being able to start that, and I kind of formulated a business plan and started last January. So we're about pretty much exactly a year, maybe in a month, since I started the business, and now, as I said, it's right time, right place.
Yeah. Sounds like fun. So tell me about the podcast side of the voice work that you're doing in media.
Yeah, so I run a podcast similar to yourself. It's not 12 minutes. We go for a longer form of content, but that's very niche to the area I'm in. So because there's so much out there, as you know, obviously using the 12-minute conversation, you have to kind of differentiate yourself quite a lot. Being able to host conversations with business owners in my local community, we've got a real kind of level of community that we never really had with any of our podcasts previously. And we started offering that to our clients as well. So we're actually a podcasting agency, and we provide podcasts for clients. So that's kind of how we started working. And then the podcast kind of formed from that. And it's actually been one of my favorite things to do. I absolutely love doing podcasts. It's always good when you love the sound of your own voice.
So who did you learn that ability to adjust in life from?
To be completely honest, I think it was my last job. But from the very beginning, it was always my mum. We had to adjust often, and we're in a very different position in life than we were, say 20 years ago. So her adaptability kind of lent to me, and then I refined that through my corporate career. I worked for a company called Dale Carnegie.
So they're personal development.
Yeah, so personal development. I was one of the youngest trainers in the world at the time. Wow. And I worked as a salesperson for them as well. So it really refined my abilities. So I think it was always there, but having that level of almost mentorship from the people within there, it really allowed me to kind of grow to 1,000 times better than I ever was previously.
Love it. Well, that is very impressive. Very, very impressive. What's the name of your podcast?
My podcast is called the Kent Business Podcast. There's nothing flashy. It does what it says on the tin. Yeah. But yeah, so it's aimed at businesses in Kent. And we go across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Podbean app.
It's a great idea. It's definitely a great idea. Well, do tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
Consistently over the last 3 years? I think it's more the consultation. There's a really weird thing about me, and I absolutely love having conversations with people. And that sounds quite strange because naturally I'm an introvert. So when I get home, I'm tired. I just want to kind of shut off from the world. But when I'm kind of in the zone during my work day, one of my favorite things is just to get to know somebody. And I think that's what's always, it kind of got ingrained with me through Dale Carnegie because they have a very personable approach. But having those connections and human connections as well. And that's something that I've always tried to replicate, even through technology, the ones that we're using now, such as voice technologies, but video, just trying to bring that human connection back into business.
Yeah, it's important,
and that's been a real aim for me.
It's important. Sorry? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely important.
Well, apologies. It's important. I was just saying it's important, isn't it? Even with the technology, I mean, Amazon Alexa and what that does. How do you say we can integrate it? Is it even possible to integrate AI's voice with what we would do here, the way we're doing it here?
I think we're getting close. I still think we're a good few years away, and that's just the truth of it. But looking at some of the AI that Google are performing at the moment, so if you have a Gmail account, their AI effectively can write an email for you because it anticipates what you've said before, and makes an email for you on that basis. So they'll always finish your sentences to make it easier for you. I think we're getting there. I still think it's quite clunky in the way that it is performing right now, but there's some fantastic developments that are happening, and every time they release the new update, it gets more and more human in the way that it's discussed, and eventually we will get to the point where we are interacting with technology seamlessly. I've seen a concept for a shirt that is one size fits all, and it reacts to your body shape and fits you perfectly. And these are the type of technologies that we are developing, where it just makes our world more interactable.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. A bit scary sometimes, but definitely amazing.
Definitely scary. Yeah. But as long as we understand it, then hopefully we can try and utilize it a lot more rather than be scared of it. So I think it's something that holds us back a lot, especially if you're not used to the technology that comes up with later generations than yourself or earlier generations than yourself. Sometimes it can be scary to kind of almost adapt to it, but the more that people are adapting to technology, the longer that kind of lasts. My little cousin, she struggles to use a keyboard, whereas that to me is amazing. But because it's all touchscreen, everything she does is touchscreen. She doesn't really get the keyboard, and she's 7, but it's that different way of communicating. Because at 7 years old, yes, I was familiar with a keyboard, but my mum at 7 years old, it was just a pen and paper.
Yeah, it's really changing and transforming pretty quickly, isn't it? I'm intrigued by it. But I think one's mind can always go in a particular direction. Like when you talked about the T-shirt or the shirt that adjusts, like immediately I just saw the possibility of being strangulated, if you would, by...
Yes, exactly. So, and that's the thing. There has to be some safety precautions that goes alongside that. A lot of it, the early testers will have that worry.
But I would test it. Like, please,
me too.
Yeah, like I would definitely test it. So I'll be like, I wonder if so. I'll keep a knife close by. But but I'm on for it. All right, my friend. Where's the best place for someone that's listening to connect with you, Ben?
The best place is probably LinkedIn for myself. I have my biggest presence kind of on social is LinkedIn, and I'm trying to change that, but I naturally gravitate towards LinkedIn. It's kind of my happy place. So yes, it's Ben Abbott on LinkedIn, and it's just I've got a photo of me talking. So it's actually the photo being used for the bio today. So please feel free to connect.
Wonderful. Well, Ben, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Ben, what is your earliest... Ben's like, it sounds great. Yeah, this morning is cold. What is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory? my earliest childhood memory is actually, and I remember this distinctly, although my mum says that it happened, but I was so young I shouldn't have remembered it. I almost got hit by a car when I was younger, but I think in reality it was so far away from me that it would never have posed any threat, but I was so scared that this car was coming anywhere near towards me. And it's funny actually, because you use that as a basis that, you know, it sticks so hard in your mind, but actually the reality was quite different.
Ooh, that sounds deep from
a
philosophical perspective. So, I mean, how do you see it connecting to who you are today?
I think it's a case of you just, when you're in the moment or when you look back on the moment, you always see it worse than it is, or at least I do. So having that perspective to kind of step away for a moment and get collaboration with others, it actually shows you that the position you're in is not anywhere near as bad as some others. So that's always allowed me to kind of step forward and grow myself and take risks on the basis that I know that even if I fail, you know, I'm still in a very good position in life.
That's amazing. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you
Please,
created in my
go
mind?
ahead.
I love the concept of the conversation when we were speaking about you being an introvert and what that looks like from like an image. If you had to paint a picture, or if I had to paint a picture, it's a bit like that, isn't it? Or do a video, because having interaction for you does not come naturally, and the fears that do contribute to the conversation, or even the initiation of the conversation, is a lot like that, right? It's like a car that's going to hit you and there are fears there. But the fact of the matter is you have taken the time to analyze that. And you said through Dale Carnegie you did that, right? But
Yes.
you've taken the time to analyze that and seen the benefit of crossing the road then to get to the other side of the conversation. And I just love that, how that mixes right back into who you are, the imagery at least.
Yeah, thank you.
It's cool, isn't it? The way you
Yeah.
can connect things in conversations. Definitely. Ooh. Yeah, my
Yes,
wife is
definitely.
an
That sounds good.
introvert.
Yeah, and it's funny because I lean towards more introverted people because I prefer deeper conversations. I don't particularly like superficial conversation where it's just kind of forced.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm getting to know somebody, I want to get to know them as opposed to, you know, just having a chat around a certain topic.
Definitely. You know, I'm naturally introverted, but a lot of things has helped. So personality assessments are really great, but I think there are ways to adjust it. Someone would see you having interaction and conversation and they would believe you're an extrovert, right?
Yes.
But you're
definitely.
so, you know, it's something delicate to analyze and understand. But yes, I love great conversations as well. And I'm enjoying this conversation with you, Ben, to ask
Good.
another deep question, which is, if we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
What's my favorite song at 12? I'm trying to think whether it was actually when I was 12, but I think it was roughly about then. It was a song by Linkin Park called In the End.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I was about 12 at that point. Don't quote me on that though.
Yeah, so we love to connect things here. I mean, yeah, the song talks about in the end, right? It doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah,
so even
exactly.
Yeah, you know, you did the conversation, you have your conversation, and then you realize in the end the pain or the problems that you were putting up in front of you, it really doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's probably some deep-rooted subconscious
There we go.
story in there.
All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Okay.
Ben,
Yeah,
have
go
you
for it.
chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
No, I'm not married.
Do you have children?
No children.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, but at times, yes. At times, no.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes, yeah, we're very close in a circle.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes.
What about screen time? The phone under the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
More than 8.
If you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Ben Abbott, what would you say that is?
Be yourself, and love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, nobody else will.
Love it. Ben, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, just thank you very much for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it, Angel.
Yeah, this has been great fun. Ben Abbott, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-minute Convos with Angel Jones.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.